Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and just want to do a BOI update. That is the beneficial ownership information filing under the Corporate Transparency Act with FinCEN. And as of right now, and this is December 27th, there's actually an injunction in place, and it's back in place. It was stayed, and now that order staying the injunction that was entered on December 3rd by the Fifth Circuit District Court judge. It was stayed. That stay has been vacated. In English, what does that mean? It means that the district court's order is back in effect, which is a nationwide injunction against enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act, which means technically businesses do not need to file their beneficial ownership information. I looked at FinCEN just a few minutes ago, and the BOI portal, they still haven't updated it, but as of right now, I'll share with you the actual court order so you can see it. So you're not just listening to somebody on a screen or on YouTube and just listening to what they say and following it blindly. Here's the actual court order, and it's pretty straightforward. When you go down here, you'll see that they're going through the history. On December 3rd, 2024, the district court entered an order enjoining enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act and its corresponding reporting rule. And that's the name of the case is Texas Top Cop Shop, Inc. And also part of the plaintiffs is the National Federation of Independent Businesses. You can see the site. The government requested a stay of that injunction, and they lost at the district court level, so they appealed it. So what you have was an appeal of that injunction. A denial at the district court level goes to the appellate court. The appellate court gets it, and the government does an emergency motion to hear that thing. And on December 23rd, the appellate court panel granted the government's motion to stay that injunction. And all that means is you still had to file. And what the BOI did, what FinCEN did was say, hey, because there was a period of time from December 3rd to December 23rd that businesses did not know they had to file, like it was an injunction. They said, hey, we'll give you till January 13th for the majority of the filings. The people that had businesses on January 1st, 2024, they had a year to file their benefit, the BOI information, beneficial ownership information. So the people that were in charge of the company or people with greater than 25%, that type of thing. Now, the order that was entered by the appellate court did two things. It said, hey, we're going to stay that injunction, and we're going to order a oral hearing so that the parties can come in and argue this thing. And we're going to have an expedited appeal. So that went up to the merits panel. Apparently, that's a thing. This isn't my area of practice, but I'm sure that you appellate practitioners know what that means. But that is the group that now is going to be handling the oral arguments and the appeal from here on out. And they got a hold of it. And so on the 26th of December, so 3 days after the appellate court does one thing, 3 days later it reverses itself. And what it did is it vacated, and this is the language. However, in order to preserve the constitutional status quo, while the merits panel considers the parties' weighty substantive arguments, the part of the motions panel order granting the government motion to stay the district court's preliminary injunction in enjoining enforcement of the CTA in the reporting rule is vacated. So what they did is they vacated that stay of the injunction. In English, the injunction is back in effect as of right now. And today is December 27th, 2024. So if you're listening to this, pay attention to some of the dates. I will post the dates on the videos that I've created, because I've created a video on the CTA, multiple. I created a video when the court ruled, did a nationwide injunction. I created a video when the appellate court stayed that injunction. I created this video now where the court is vacating that stay, and will continue to post any decision that is made that affects that BOI. Now, what would I do? And this is, I can only tell you what I would do if this was made, and I was looking whether I should file a business. If I was just hell bent on not providing this information to FinCEN, like I really, in my bones, said this is a hill worth dying on, right? I do not want FinCEN having this. And by the way, when you file a tax return, it's going to the same place, right? The chances are, under the Bank Secrecy Act, the banks have to do it, know your client, have to report information. Chances are they have this information. Like, it's for small businesses. It's not like it's a secret. It's not like they don't know. What they're doing is trying to have a tool to combat money launderers and people that are playing games where they're pretend owners and they have straw people and stuff like that. They want to know who the ultimate beneficiary of monies are so that they could track it, because there's so much skullduggery going on. But the government, if you're just one of those people, then I would say pay attention. And if you're not going to file, pay attention to like a channel like this, or just really pay attention to what the courts are doing, because this afternoon they could change course again, and then it's back on. And last time, FinCEN said, "Hey, we'll give you a little extra time." I mean, realistically, you had about a week from when that court order was entered by the Court of Appeals saying, "Hey, the injunction is off." You had a week to file the information, or you were facing penalties of over $595 a day, plus a $10,000 fine, plus 2 years in prison. In the courts, we saw what the courts think about this in the court's opinion, the appellate court, where the judge was saying, "Hey, you've had a year to comply. We're not shedding tears on this. You've known that you've had this, and the will of the people was to elect officials that enacted this law." And that was what they were holding. They're saying, "Hey, it might be unconstitutional to some, but it's not unconstitutional to all. Therefore, we'll let it get ferreted out." What we see now is the next level of the appellate court. And by the way, there's a Supreme Court too, right? So this court could do something, and then it gets appealed up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court could step in and take action. I mean, we've seen this sausage made before, and sometimes it's blindingly frustrating and stupid. But ultimately, they're going to decide. And frankly, the legislative body should really be paying attention to this and saying, we're going to step in, and we're either going to strike it down, or we're going to say, yeah, we believe in this Corporate Transparency Act. And right, it was literally in the budget, they were going to strike it down. And then obviously there was a big struggle to get the budget passed, and it got nixed out. But that was very recent, where it looked like it was about to die a death. So if you're that person who says, "I just don't want to do it, and I'm frustrated and mad at the government, and I don't want them," maybe it's a principle to you. Okay, pay attention, because you don't want to get caught where all of a sudden they have leverage over you, both criminal and civil, because you took a stand. That sometimes does not end well, right? They tend to be fairly human about these things, but you don't want to end up with a target on your back and inviting them to use a statute against you because they look at you as a rebel rouser. The rest of you, I would just file it. Like, again, in my businesses, they already know, because I'm on the bank accounts. There's already disclosure. I'm on all the tax returns. I'm not sitting here trying to hide from the government. So I personally not too worried about this, but I understand that some of you guys are, and I'm not going to take issue with it. I get it, especially if you've had run-ins with the government before, or whatever your line of work is, or whatever you've done, whatever positions you like. Sometimes there's political retribution. We've seen that, lawfare and things like that. Maybe this is just you saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm a freedom lover and I don't want to do it." I get it, 100%. I don't like the CTA. I didn't like it when it was passed, but I'm looking at it going, how do I deal with it? Knowing what I know right now, do I think this thing's going to go away with the court action? I tend to say no. I think that there's constitutional grounds for it, and our Congress voted for it, right? They passed it through, and the courts do give deference to some of those things, right? They're saying, hey, if it's unenforceable, There's a lot of courts saying that they don't think it is unenforceable. There's been a couple of courts where they granted these injunctions, and there's only one nationwide injunction. And it came at the last minute. It was on December 3rd of this year. So it wasn't like all these courts are like, this is obviously unconstitutional. No. Does it mean that it's going to pass? No. There's arguments on both sides, but I'm just saying is that if it's me, I file it and go about my day and quit worrying about it. If you don't want to file it and you want to fight that, then just pay attention, please, and make sure that you're watching this. And if you're in some of these lawsuits, there's a ton of them. And sometimes they grant the injunctions for that particular group. You got to pay attention, because the second that they say, nope, the injunction's off, where we find it constitutional, you have to act then. You'll be out of compliance. And now you're kind of at the mercy of what happens in the interim. All of a sudden, hey, you have a requirement to file. You should have filed 3 weeks ago. What is the government going to do to you? Well, there was a stay. Yeah, usually they're humans about it, but sometimes they're not, right? So you got to do it with your eyes open and just make sure that you're paying attention so that you don't get caught. Guys, I know this was probably longer than I needed to make it. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that as of today, December 27th, the Corporate Transparency Act is enjoined from enforcement nationwide. What would I do if I was a small business? I'd probably just file it and go about my day and not worry about what the courts are doing, because they've changed their opinion now 3 times in 3 weeks. God knows what the future holds. So anyway, if you know anybody that's affected by this, please share it with them. If you want to make sure you're up to date on this information, like, subscribe, and click that little bell so it notifies you when new videos come out. And good luck out there, guys.